everyone, I'm so excited to film this video today and launch my new palette, which is the Earthy Tones. And this time I wanted to create something that I am really enjoying in the last, well, actually this year, in the last few months especially, but this year I have really discovered granulating watercolors, and I thought I'll create something that I love using. So these are mixes that I have created to use myself, and then I thought to share it with you, and that's the thinking behind them this time. And I have used high quality pigments, and yeah, I will talk you through basically what they are. But I am so excited to finally be able to film this video because it's kind of been in the plans now for a while and it's finally here. To just give you heads up, there is a limited number of these, and that's how I'm going to be making them from now onwards. I'm always going to release a new palette in a limited number, and depending on how they are received, if there is a high demand for them, as with the first palette, the lip and cheek palette, I have then created larger amounts of it, and that's how we'll do it with these as well. So if there is going to be a lot of demand, then I will be working on a larger quantity, but otherwise they're quite limited, so make sure you do check them out if you're interested. They are available as this video comes out, so on my Etsy shop, AlyonaCreates, that's where you can get them. Okay, so coming back, let's just look at the palette that you get when you buy it. So I have updated a few things and changed a little bit around. This time you get a nice large sticker. I love the texture of this. It's super smooth, so it gives you kind of a better idea of the colors. The colors I have used on these stickers are the colors that come in this set. You can see that there is a lot of value to some of the colors, so there are a nice mix. We will talk about that in a minute, but this color, and this color are the same colors, so you can see how intensely deep you can make it to then also have very light values of it. And it also is very playful, this color. It likes to move into other colors. It's very friendly, so we'll look at that as well. So here's what you get. You get 4 little pans, and I have now also added the name of the color on each pan with my little A for AlyonaCreates. And we have titanium orange, raw sienna, Mars violet, and burnt sienna. As you know, I absolutely love sienna. This year have really been indulging in sienna of any type of sort, and so I decided to include 2 siennas here, one raw and one burnt. They are not your typical siennas, they have my own twist on them because I want to create watercolors that are not only artist grade, so these are artist grade high quality pigments that I'm using here, but also I want to create a little individual sort of touch to them, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. And yeah, that's so they have real swatch to them, and on like a watercolor paper, and that's what you get. You also get a little swatch card. Now, in terms of the actual title of the palette, Earthy Tones, I have used a water soluble ink this time, so just wanted to warn you that last time I used a waterproof ink, which means if you got some watercolor on it, it would have been fine. However, this time make sure you don't do that and stay within these lines, because it will just, you know, move and create a bit of, you know, changing the watercolor swatches basically. So that's what you get in this lovely palette. Now let's look at the colors here as they come in the pan. You will notice that 2 of the colors are a little bit on a dry side and 2 of the colors have more of a glossy finish. So these 2, which are the Siennas, have more of a matte finish, and these 2 have more of a glossy finish. Now that depends on the pigments, and every pigment responds differently, and that's why it is. Then you will find that they are labeled, so you got the nice name labels, and on the other side I put a little A here, so if you ever wanted to move them to like a regular palette and you wanted to remember where they came from, this A is for AlyonaCreates, so hopefully you would know if you wanted to yeah, just keep it for your own information. And obviously there is a magnet, quite a generous magnet at the base of the half pans so that they stay nice and put. And these are the swatches right here. I will show you bigger swatches so you get a better idea, because the lighting seems a little bit off today. But basically you get 2 colors which have iridescence to them. This one has a multitude, so it's a duochrome, who actually has like 3 different levels of mica powders in there, very fine, so they don't come off at all. Yes, I made sure to use high quality of everything. And then in this one, although you can't see in the swatch very well, I'll show you in the bigger swatch. You can see them here. So these are the gold iridescence here. And then these 2 have absolutely no iridescence to them, but all 4 are granulating colors. So that's what it is. And it's a palette or color palette that I was creating with having autumn in mind. And you can take this obviously beyond autumn, but these are great colors to be using them in the autumn month. Okay, let me pull out my bigger sketchbook and show you large swatches and talk a little bit about the properties of each of the colors. Okay, so let's look at the colors as they are swatched out in my journal. And what I have here is the Mars Violet. Now, this Mars Violet is obviously granulating. You know, my love for Mars Black and Mars Brown is one of the colors I have been playing around with, but this is the one that I decided to create. It's a Mars Violet, so it's got a deep kind of purple tone to it with obviously granulation. But I decided to put my own twist to it and add different colors of mica. I can't tell you which exactly I went for, but if you look at the sheen, you'll see some green in there, and there are some other colors in there as well. And depending on how much of it you use, you'll see more of the sheen or less of it. So don't be afraid if you don't like shimmer or bit of mica in your watercolors. You will see that actually the main aspect here is the base so the pigment that is used, that's what's really important to me. The little bit of mica just adds a little touch to it, but it's not overpowering. It's not about the mica, it's just a little bonus. So you can see in these lighter swatches, they in fact don't have that much of a mica visible. It's only when you start going quite a bit darker you start to see a bit more of it. So that's the Mars Violet. Let's look at Raw Sienna. Now Raw Sienna, it's I'd describe it as a kind of like a toffee color, and it's a beautiful warm, maybe even caramel type of a color. I have used a mix of pigments here to create a darker granulation within the Raw Sienna, so you can see basically that granulation a little bit more evident. Again, I have to watch what I share, because obviously these are my recipes, and as a handmade watercolor maker, I can't give away what pigments I use, what micas I use. I just, I make sure that I go for the very high quality, and then the rest remains a secret, because these are my formulas that I developed and these are my colors. So to avoid other people trying to recreate these, I have to keep it a secret. So that's that. The variety you can get here, darker colors. This one doesn't go as dark as Mars Violet. Mars Violet can go as dark as this, which is completely opaque. You wouldn't be able to get that with the Raw Sienna, but you do get quite beautiful sort of, warmer, more saturated tones, and then the middle tones are quite pretty as well as the very light tones. They're great for skin tone. Next color. And I think I already mentioned that obviously it's granulating, as every color is in this palette, but it's got the gold sheen to it. And again, I went quite cautiously with it so that you don't really see it when you look at it straight ahead, but if you tilt it a little bit, you just start seeing tiny little reflection. It's ever so light and kind of very tasteful, Same thing as makeup. When makeup has complete flatness to it is one thing, but if it has a little tiny bit of that sheen, it will give you that luminosity, but if it's too much, you start to look like a Christmas tree. So same concept here. So burnt sienna, again granulating, and this one has no shimmer to it at all, and I wanted to create a burnt sienna that has a pink undertone. So I have played around and created this quite interesting mix. Well, is what I think. So you can create again beautiful skin tones and blush colors and all of that good stuff. So you can see there's a nice darkness you can go to, but also it looks really pretty with the lighter colors. It has a little bit of color separation to it, which depends how you do the swatch. You can create some interesting effects there. And then the final one is titanium orange. I'd say out of all of them, it's probably the most opaque color, besides the Mars Violet. If you really pack it on, you won't be able to see anything. It's that intense. But with the titanium orange, like any titanium color, it will have a little bit of opacity. So I wanted to create a color which you can use in mixes with the other three if you wanted to add a little bit of creaminess to them. Same thing as I love buff titanium or white titanium, just milking things up or creating a bit of that sort of, creamy texture, buttery texture to them. You can do that with the titanium orange. Having said that, it doesn't have any white in there. None of the four colors have white in the in this palette, because I wanted the pigments to talk for themselves and be as clean and not have any fillers in there, and just be all about the quality of the pigment is what you see in them. So again, when you start going lighter and use more water, they're great skin tones, and the darker you go, the more you start seeing the granulation. It has a very beautiful, similar to Mars colors, it's that intense in terms of the granulation. I'll bring it up close to you. It's got that look between a deep yellow or an orange to it, so it's somewhere in the middle, let's say. And then obviously if you pack it on, it's quite opaque. Again, there is no shimmer in there. And let me just give you a close-up of these colors here. So this is the burnt sienna, so you can have a good look. You can notice some of the pigment separation in some areas. It's ever so light and slight, but when you start playing around with them like here, you can create really lovely effects. This is just swatching out the intensity, different intensities and values of the 4 colors, but you can then start mixing them and creating different colors, which I'll show you as well. Okay, so here I wanted to show you how they look when they're fully loaded with pigment. You can see how intense they are, so these two especially. So we have the Mars Violet and the Titanium Orange. Titanium Orange looks very opaque, although it's a lighter color in terms of the value, but here, although it's a darker color, it sort of has also that opaqueness to it, but not as much as this one. This one almost feels like it's got white in there, but it doesn't. It's just the titanium orange pigment as it is. There is no other pigments mixed in this color here. And then if you work with them lighter, you get these beautiful, let's see for the sheen. So you can see there is not that much of a shimmer to them, but ever so slightly. And then the lighter version is quite subtle, and then you can go even lighter, as light as this, and still have pretty colors there. So let me show you. Oh yeah, so this is where I was talking about the sticker. Can you see how intense this is? Also the color Mars Violet is here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. So you can get so many different varieties of it, but it loves to push into other colors. And here is just a basic swatch out, which I wanted to show you. Skin tones right here, but you can obviously use these colors for anything you want, but these are fantastic for skin tones. You can see how many beautiful mixes I got from the lighter colors to the darker colors. It's like a play on makeup. I always had a very keen interest in colors and makeup and art, and to me this is where the two collide. When I make watercolor palettes, this is what I have in mind, and you can see the beautiful range of colors you can mix. And again, when I start tilting, there isn't that much of a shimmer. It's in fact super pretty. It's got that very light, very subtle, a little something to it without overpowering. So there isn't any sparkle to it, there's no glitter for sure. This is high quality, very, very fine mica powders, and they don't come off. They are beautifully mixed into the watercolors when I make them. So yeah, and the last thing I will mention is that I filled these guys 3 to 4 times depending on the color. This one particularly wanted to be filled more, so that's the Mars Violet. And that's it for today. So I hope you enjoy this and you can get your hands on it if it hasn't been sold out yet. And thank you so much for watching. See you soon.